Michael Bever is charged with 5 counts of murder for the crime that happened inside their home in 2015.
Craig Price is a violent individual. He's a very violent individual.
Brace yourselves as we delve into the haunting realm of crime, where age is not a barrier. A lineup that proves evil can lurk even in the most unexpected places, in the most unexpected forms. Here are the top 10 youngest serial killers in history. Number 1. Eric Smith. Eric Smith, born on January 22, 1980, became famous for committing a horrific crime at a young age. At just 13 years old, Smith brutally took the life of a 4-year-old boy named Derek Roby in Steuben County, New York, in 1993. This tragic event shocked the community and raised profound questions about the capacity for violence in adolescence and the complexities of juvenile criminal justice. On that fateful day, Eric Smith encountered Derek Roby walking alone to a summer camp. Seizing the opportunity, Smith lured the young boy into a secluded wooded area. There, he subjected Derek to a vicious and prolonged assault. The nature and brutality of the crime shook the local community to its core and sparked outrage and disbelief. Following the discovery of Derek's lifeless body, a massive manhunt ensued. Eric Smith, with his distinctive red hair and glasses, became the prime suspect. He was apprehended shortly after and quickly confessed to the crime. Smith's confession, coupled with substantial forensic evidence, left no doubt about his guilt. At the time of the crime, Smith was only 13 years old. His young age prompted intense scrutiny of the juvenile justice system. Everyone wanted to know if a child of Smith's age was capable of fully comprehending the gravity of his actions. Was it the right decision to hold him to the same standards as adult offenders tend to become the focal point of the legal proceedings? After a lengthy trial, Smith was found guilty and charged with second degree. His defense attorney argued that he should be tried as a juvenile. However, the court ruled that him an adult due to the severity of his crime. Smith was handed a sentence of 9 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. After serving 28 years in prison, Smith was released. Several important details about the case were revealed when Smith's grandfather was interviewed. His grandfather echoed Eric's words, saying, "I saw the blonde kid, and I wanted to hurt him." His grandfather was shocked by his grandson's crime, just like the rest of the world. Smith's case has since sparked debates about the effectiveness of rehabilitation and the appropriate punishment for juvenile offenders. Some argue that adolescents, with their developing brains and potential for change, should be given a chance at rehabilitation and eventual reintegration into society. Number 2. Craig Price. Craig Price, also known as the Warwick Slasher, is a convicted serial criminal who took many lives. He gained popularity for the chilling crimes he committed in Warwick, Rhode Island during the late 1980s. Price's crimes and the circumstances surrounding his case continue to captivate public attention and raise questions about the nature of evil and the complexities of the criminal justice system. Craig Price was born on October 11, 1973. His violent tendencies became evident at an early age when he began engaging in animal cruelty and displaying aggressive behavior. However, it wasn't until 1987, at the age of just 13, that Price embarked on a spree of brutal assaults that shocked the community. Price's first victim was Rebecca Spencer, a 27-year-old woman whom he encountered while she was jogging near her home. Price broke into her house, attacked her, and left her lifeless body behind. Less than a year later, he struck again, this time targeting a neighborhood couple, Joan Heaton and her 2 daughters, Jennifer and Melissa. Price broke into their home, brutally assaulting all 3 victims. The Warwick community was gripped with fear as the criminal remained at large. Eventually, suspicion fell on Craig Price, who had a history of violent behavior and had been previously involved with the police. Price was arrested in 1989 after a witness came forward with incriminating information, and he eventually confessed to the crimes. The shocking aspect of Price's crimes lies not only in their brutality, but also in his age at the time of their commission. At just 15 years old, Price became one of the youngest serial criminals in American history. This fact sparked debates about the nature of juvenile violence and the appropriate response from the criminal justice system. Due to his age, Price was initially convicted as a juvenile and sentenced to serve time in a youth detention facility until his 21st birthday. However, his violent tendencies persisted while in custody, and he assaulted fellow inmates, even taking the life of one. This led to a reassessment of his case, and in 1992, Price was convicted and sentenced to a lengthy prison term. Throughout his incarceration, Price has remained a highly controversial figure. He showed little regret for his crimes and was involved in further violent incidents within prison walls. Despite the potential for rehabilitation, Price's actions and behavior have raised doubts about the possibility of his eventual release. Craig Price, fortunately, remains incarcerated in a Rhode Island prison, serving the punishments for his crimes. Number 3. Michael Hernandez. Michael Hernandez was born in February 1988 in Miami, Florida. Growing up, he appeared to be an intelligent and well-behaved child known for his exceptional academic abilities. However, behind the facade of normalcy, there were underlying issues that would later contribute to a horrific crime. In 2004, at the age of 14, Hernandez committed a brutal crime that shocked the nation. He lured his classmate, Jamie Gauff, into a bathroom stall at Southwood Middle School in Miami. There, Hernandez proceeded to assault Gauff with a knife, eventually taking his life. The horrific state of the crime and the young age of the victim and the perpetrator sent shockwaves through the community. The motive behind Hernandez's crime has been the subject of speculation and analysis. Some reports suggest that he was deeply fascinated by serial criminals and regularly researched their lives and methods. Additionally, it was discovered that he had kept a journal filled with disturbing writings and drawings depicting violence. These elements, combined with a desire for notoriety, possibly contributed to his decision to commit such a heinous act. Following his arrest, Hernandez faced a trial that began in 2008. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, including surveillance footage and testimonies from classmates, that established Hernandez's premeditation and the calculated nature of his crime. Being only 14 at the time of the crime, Hernandez was tried as an adult, which generated significant debate regarding the appropriate punishment for juvenile offenders. In 2008, the court found Hernandez guilty of first degree. The young criminal was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Tears welled up in his eyes when he heard the terrible sentence. This sentence reflected the severity of his crime, and the judge was quite convinced that he posed a significant threat to society. The decision to give a life sentence to a juvenile offender was quite controversial. It drew attention to the challenges faced by the juvenile justice system, the potential for rehabilitation, and the appropriate balance between punishment and redemption. Since his conviction, Hernandez made several attempts to appeal his sentence and get it overturned. He argued that his age should be taken into consideration. However, he never got a chance to get out of jail, and in 2021, at the age of 31, he passed away behind bars. According to the autopsy, Hernandez was morbidly obese at 5'10" and 285 pounds and had cardiac dysrhythmia. The case of Michael Hernandez highlights the tragic consequences of untreated mental health issues and the potential dangers of exposure to violent media. Number 4. James Fairweather. James Fairweather, better known as the Colchester Killer. Born in 1999, Fairweather became one of the youngest convicted serial criminals in the United Kingdom, shedding light on the chilling capacity for violence in teenagers. The dark chapter of Fairweather's life unfolded in Colchester, Essex, between March and June 2014, when he was a mere 15 years old. During this period, he embarked on a gruesome spree of crimes that took the lives of 2 innocent individuals. The first victim was James Atfield, a 33-year-old man who suffered from brain damage and was known to spend time in the town's parks. Fairweather targeted Atfield in a savage attack, brutally attacking him with a knife over 100 times. The following morning, a horrified passerby discovered Atfield's lifeless body, sending shockwaves through the community. Only 2 months later, Fairweather struck again, selecting another unsuspecting victim. This time, his target was Nahid Almanea, a 31-year-old Saudi Arabian student who was simply walking to the University of Essex. Fairweather ambushed her, assaulted her using a knife, and callously left her to pass away on the path. The series of brutal crimes sent Colchester into a state of fear and panic as residents grappled with the terrifying realization that a young, seemingly unassuming teenager could commit such heinous acts. The police worked tirelessly to apprehend the criminal, leaving no stone unturned in their investigation. In a twist of fate, Fairweather's capture came as a result of his own chilling boasts and threats made to a friend. Alarmed by his unsettling statements, the friend bravely reported them to the authorities, leading to Fairweather's arrest in June 2014. During police questioning, Fairweather confessed to his crimes, further cementing his guilt. He said he heard voices that told him to make a sacrifice. In 2015, Fairweather stood trial and was convicted on 2 counts. The judge recognized the severity and brutality of his actions, and Fairweather was given a sentence of 27 years. The court acknowledged that he posed a significant risk to the public, a chilling reminder of the destructive capabilities lurking within an individual so young. James Fairweather's name will forever be associated with a dark chapter in the history of Colchester. His crimes serve as a chilling reminder that evil can emerge from unexpected sources and that vigilance, empathy, and preventive measures are essential in ensuring the safety and well-being of communities. Number 5. Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper, also known as Co-Ed Killer, is an infamous American serial criminal who committed a series of horrific crimes in the 1970s. His shocking acts of violence and the chilling nature of his crimes have made him one of the most well-known and studied serial criminals in history. Born in 1948 in Burbank, California, Kemper exhibited disturbing behavior from a young age. He had a disturbed relationship with his parents, particularly his mother, towards whom he held a deep resentment. His shocking acts of violence and the chilling nature of his crimes have made him one of the most well-known and studied serial criminals in history. Born in 1948 in Burbank, California, Kemper had a problematic relationship with his parents, particularly his mother, whom he detested. Kemper's childhood was marked by violent fantasies and the torture and taking of the lives of animals, which are often seen as warning signs of future violent tendencies. Kemper's crime spree began in 1964 when he was just 15 years old. H took the lives of both his grandparents, shot his grandmother, and attacked his grandfather with a knife. Kemper later claimed that these acts were due to his desire to see what it felt like to take the life of someone and to have control over life and death. After spending years in a mental institution, Kemper was released in 1969, despite concerns raised by psychiatrists about his potential for violence. Tragically, their fears were justified, as Kemper would go on to commit a series of brutal crimes in the early 1970s. His victims were primarily young women, earning him the moniker Co-Ed Killer. Kemper would often pick up hitchhiking college students, bringing them to secluded locations where he would strangle and dismember them. Kemper's violent streak escalated, and he took the lives of his own mother and her friend in 1973. He decapitated his mother and performed disturbing acts with her body before disposing of it. After that, he turned himself in to the police, confessing to the series of horrifying crimes that had plagued California. In 1973, Kemper was found guilty of 8 counts of first degree. He was given a punishment of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Despite his heinous crimes, Kemper has been an intriguing subject for researchers and psychologists due to his high level of intelligence and articulate nature. Throughout his time in prison, Kemper has cooperated with psychological and criminal profiling experts, providing insights into his mind and the motivations behind his crimes. His case has contributed to our understanding of serial criminals. Number 6. Alyssa Bustamante. Alyssa Bustamante was born in 1994 in Missouri. She became known for committing a horrific crime at a young age that shocked the entire nation. On October 21, 2009, when she was just 15 years old, Bustamante brutally assaulted her 9-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton, in their St. Martin's neighborhood. Bustamante lured Elizabeth into the woods, strangled her, and then proceeded to assault her with a knife. After taking her life, she buried Elizabeth's body in a shallow grave and attempted to conceal the evidence of her crime. The true motive behind Bustamante's actions was later revealed during her trial, according to testimony that she had a troubled childhood full of neglect and abuse. She struggled with mental health, including depression and a history of self-harm. Bustamante had also shown a disturbing fascination with death and violence, as evidenced by her writings and drawings. The The shocking nature of the crime and Bustamante's young age ignited a nationwide debate on the appropriate punishment for juvenile offenders. Some people argued for leniency, considering her age and the possibility of rehabilitation. On the other hand, most people believed that the severity of the crime called for harsher punishment. In 2012, Bustamante pleaded guilty to second-degree and armed criminal action. She was sentenced to life in prison with conditional release in 2024. Bustamante's case drew attention to the importance of early intervention and mental health support for troubled youth in the country. It also highlighted the need for accessible resources and a comprehensive approach to addressing underlying issues that can lead to acts of extreme violence. Bustamante's crime was undeniably horrific, and strangely, she had made a journal entry that evening in which she documented the shocking event. Since her conviction, Bustamante has continued to remain the center of public interest and scrutiny. Some argue that her young age at the time of the crime and her potential for rehabilitation should be considered for a possible reduction in her sentence. Others maintain that the punishment is fitting given the severity of her actions. Number 7. T.J. Lane. T.J. Lane, whose full name is Thomas T.J. Michael Lane III, is a convicted criminal who made headlines for perpetrating a deadly school shooting that shocked the USA. Born on September 19, 1994, Lane grew up to become one of the most despised teen criminals in the world. Lane's violent attack changed the lives of the victims' families and brought attention to the issue of school safety. On February 27, 2012, when he was just 17 years old, Lane opened fire at Chardon High School in Chardon, Ohio. Armed with a .22 caliber handgun, he targeted students in the cafeteria during breakfast. Lane fatally shot 3 students and injured 3 others. The victims were identified as Daniel Parmertor, Demetrius Hewlin, and Russell King Jr. The motive behind Lane's attack remains a subject of speculation and debate. Some reports suggest that he was motivated by personal grievances or feelings of resentment, while others point to mental health issues being a contributing factor. Lane's troubled background, including a history of behavioral problems and a difficult family life, added to the complexity of the case. Following the shooting, Lane was apprehended by a teacher who managed to subdue him until the authorities arrived. He was subsequently arrested on multiple charges. During his trial, Lane showed little remorse for his actions and even smirked and made inappropriate gestures in the courtroom. In a chilling statement, he wore a T-shirt with an obscene and disrespectful word written on it and addressed the victims' families in a degrading manner. In March 2013, Lane was found guilty of all the charges against him and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge described his actions as pure evil and emphasized the need to protect society from someone capable of such violence. The Chardon High School shooting sent shockwaves throughout the country, igniting discussions about gun control, school safety measures, and the mental health of young individuals. The tragic incident prompted communities to reflect on the importance of identifying and addressing signs of distress and violent tendencies in troubled youth. The impact of Lane's actions on the victims' families and the Chardon community cannot be overstated. The tragedy changed their lives. They were left with never-ending grief and trauma. However, the community also rallied together in support of one another, displaying resilience and a commitment to healing. Number 8. Brenda Spencer. Brenda Ann Spencer's name is forever linked to a tragic event that shook the nation and brought attention to the complex issues of mental health and access to firearms. Born on April 3, 1962 in San Diego, California, Spencer's actions on January 29, 1979, left a lasting mark on the community and raised profound questions about the motivations behind such acts of violence. At the tender age of 16, Spencer committed a heinous act that forever changed the lives of many. Armed with a .22 caliber rifle, she positioned herself near a window in her home, overlooking Grover Cleveland Elementary School. As students and staff arrived for the day, she indiscriminately opened fire, targeting innocent victims without remorse. The consequences of Spencer's actions were devastating. 2 lives were tragically cut short, and 9 others suffered injuries. Among the victims were Principal Burton Ragg and custodian Mike Suchar. whose untimely deaths sent shockwaves through the community. The senseless act of violence left many struggling to understand how a young teenager could harbor such darkness within. In the aftermath of her arrest, Spencer's infamous response to the question of her motive further deepened the mystery. When asked why she did it, she callously replied, "I don't like Mondays." This chilling statement left observers astounded and perplexed, searching for answers that could make sense of such a senseless act. As the legal proceedings unfolded, it became evident that Spencer's troubled upbringing played a significant role in shaping her path. Reports revealed a history of violent tendencies and depression. It was discovered that she had grown a fascination with firearms, even requesting a gun as a Christmas gift, which her father unfortunately granted. In 1980, Spencer faced trial for her crimes. She was found guilty of multiple crimes, including taking people's lives and multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Given her status as a child at the time of the offense, she was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Despite numerous appeals over the years, Spencer's sentence has been upheld, and she remains behind bars. Her case stands as a reminder of the far-reaching consequences of violent acts and the importance of addressing mental health concerns at an early stage. It also reignited discussions about the need for stricter gun control measures to prevent firearms from falling into the wrong hands, particularly for those struggling with mental health issues. Number 9. Beaver Brothers. Robert Bever and Michael Bever are two individuals who were involved in a horrific and tragic crime that shocked the community of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in 2015. The brothers orchestrated a brutal attack on their own family members, which took the lives of their parents and siblings. On July 22, 2015, the Beaver brothers carried out their plan inside their family home. Armed with knives and a hatchet, they launched a vicious assault on their parents, David and April Beaver, as well as their younger siblings. The attack was brutal and merciless, claiming the lives of their parents and two of their siblings, Daniel and Victoria Beaver. Two other siblings, who were also present during the attack, managed to survive but sustained severe injuries. The motive behind such a heinous act remains a subject of speculation and investigation. Reports suggest that the brothers had a shared fascination with violence. During the interrogation, it was reported that Michael Beaver disclosed disturbing details about the events that unfolded during the tragic incident. According to reports, Michael revealed that they had a predetermined goal, much like other criminals. In the sequence of the attack, Michael called his sister into a room, diverting her attention while his brother attacked her. Following that, their mother was targeted, followed by their father. At this point, their brother Daniel had barricaded himself in his bedroom, desperately seeking help by calling 911. Tragically, Michael deceived Daniel by falsely claiming that Robert was also after him and urging him to open the door for safety. Daniel, trusting his brother's words, allowed Michael entry, unknowingly disconnecting the 911 call in the process. Robert swiftly followed, intent on completing the gruesome act. The older sister managed to escape and sought refuge outside, triggering the activation of the house alarm. However, Michael promptly disabled the alarm and forcibly brought her back into the house, subjecting her to more violence. Meanwhile, two younger siblings, aged 5 and 7, sought shelter by locking themselves in a bathroom. Michael, once again employing manipulation, convinced them to unlock the door under the false pretense that Robert was attacking everyone. Tragically, Michael proceeded to take the life of his 7-year-old brother while Robert assaulted the 5-year-old sibling. Thankfully, a knock on the door interrupted the ongoing brutality. The police arrived promptly thanks to Daniel's desperate call for help, thus halting the violent spree. Following their arrest, Robert and Michael Bever were charged with multiple crimes. The severity of the charges and the nature of the crimes resulted in their being tried as adults. In 2016, Robert Bever pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first degree. He received multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. Michael Beaver, on the other hand, opted to go to trial. In 2018, he was found guilty on all charges and was also sentenced to multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. Number 10. Nathaniel Brazil. Nathaniel Brazil is an individual who rose to fame due to his involvement in a tragic and high-profile crime that occurred in Lake Worth, Florida in 2000. Born in October 1986, Brazil was just 13 years old when he committed the act which forever changed his life and the lives of those involved. On May 26, 2000, Nathaniel Brazil brought a stolen, unloaded handgun to Lake Worth Middle School where he was a student. He entered his English classroom and had a confrontation with his teacher, Barry Grunow, who had reportedly reprimanded him earlier in the day. During the confrontation, Brazil pulled out the gun and shot Grunow in the head, tragically taking his life. The incident shocked the community and garnered national attention due to the age of the perpetrator and the senselessness of the crime. It raised many questions about gun control, school safety, and the influence of the media on the behavior of young individuals. Brazil was arrested shortly after the shooting and charged with first degree. He stood trial as an adult, despite his age, due to the severity of the offense. During the trial proceedings, Nathaniel's defense attorney argued that the crime wasn't committed intentionally. The defense also suggested that the gun had accidentally fired while Brazil and Grunow were struggling to overpower each other. However, the prosecution argued that Brazil had brought the gun to the school with the intention of harming someone. In 2001, Nathaniel Brazil was found guilty of second-degree and aggravated assault with a firearm. He was sentenced to 28 years in jail, with eligibility for parole only after serving a minimum of 25 years. While in prison, Brazil's case continued to receive attention, with supporters advocating for his release and others arguing for the upholding of his sentence. Over the years, there were legal challenges and appeals related to his case, but Nathaniel's sentence and conviction were upheld. Brazil is currently serving his sentence at the Jackson Correctional Institution and is scheduled to be released on May 18, 2028. During his time in prison, he successfully completed his General Educational Development Program and obtained certification as a paralegal.